Hello. So in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to do a couple of videos this month about my mental health, starting off with talking about my attempt to be happier and more positive. Now, just a quick warning, this may be a rambly, somewhat repetitive video. It's a comment that people have brought up to me recently, but I hope that I can just get a little bit of slack for such a personal video like this, because this is a very personal topic and it's kind of difficult for me to talk about, and it's really difficult for me to get my thoughts about this sort of stuff kind of concise. So I've talked about this before on the channel. I have a whole mental health playlist that you can go look at. I deal with depression and I deal with a lot of anger. I've talked more about my depression than I have my anger, because I feel like talking about depression is a little less scary, whereas talking about anger, well, it's anger. It frightens people sometimes. And anger also puts a lot of people off faster, I feel like, just from my personal experience. And I get it. I get why that happens. So this year has been a lot of struggle, because everything that had happened from like 2015 to last year essentially didn't happen for me this year. And it happened for other people, fellow, people in the same work as me, and I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty damn jealous about it. I was incredibly bitter about it, and I did my best to hide it, but probably not. I did my best to tone it down as much as possible, and I might have toned it down a bit, but overall, yeah, I've struggled with a lot of blah, blah, blah. I've worked this hard and done all this for all these many years, and then someone comes along and boop, there it is, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And it ate at me so much, and it became such a problem that it would wear me down. And one, I would get really, really angry, and two, I would get really, really depressed. And instead of trying to do better, trying to get more creative, expand more, whatever it is that I needed to do, I wouldn't do it. I would just be like, oh gosh, never mind. It's not worth it. Well, that doesn't get me anywhere, does it? Of course, I do think that having feelings of, disappointment and being bummed out about not being able to do what you've worked so hard to do, I feel like having those feelings is validated. I feel like you can have these feelings, but when it gets to the point that it consumes you so much, it consumes you entirely, that you end up doing the opposite of what it is that you should be doing, and it's just making you more angry than it needs to be, it's not a good thing. So that's an issue that I've been needing to tackle so hard. Another thing is having instant reactions out of anger, some of which I feel is maybe justified, some of which probably not so justified. Things like, let's say, the Kavanaugh thing. Is that how you pronounce his name? I don't know. But the sexual assault stuff, that I feel is justified. But then other things that I can't really think of specifics right now, but just, there's a lot of things that because of my anger issues, I see it, I get angry, and I want to tweet about it, I want to Facebook about it, I want to do this and that about it, and sometimes it can be done well, sometimes not so well, and it's just easier to kind of chill for a little bit and then talk about it later, even if it's 15 minutes later, half an hour later. Like, just perhaps maybe write it down first before talking about it, so that way you can get your thoughts in order. As quickly as you may be able to get rid of some tweets or Facebook posts or whatever, it's just, or even in your personal life, even if you're just saying it out loud, even to yourself, it's just, chill a little bit. Woman, just chill. My depression's been, up and down lately. I mean, it's always there, but you have those moments when it gets a little bit better, but then sometimes it just skyrockets, right? And it goes along with what I said. Sometimes I get so angry about something, my anger issues get so high that then depression gets high, and then, a lot of it, like I said, I was feeling like it's not worth continuing what I'm doing anymore. Somebody else is already doing it. But I don't need to be thinking that way. And a lot of the times, I get so depressed that I stay in bed and I don't want to do anything, or I'm just going to watch something on Netflix instead. Or if I am going to do something, I don't do it when I say that I'm going to do it. For example, my filming days, I made them be Saturdays. I take one day off from streaming and whatever else, and I'm going to sit down and film and edit. But sometimes I get so depressed, I get so, like, fed up with things, I feel like it's not worth it, that I end up waiting until, like, Sunday to do it. And my uploading days are Mondays and Thursdays. So it's just, it gets too last minute, and then I get more stressed out, and then insert more mental health issues there, right? While I'm trying to not focus on the bad part of that and try to get better at things, I realize that sometimes life just happens, and, you know, sometimes you just don't do what you want to do on time, no matter how much you try. But at least I don't want it to be so often as it has been. And that has also led to, like, not taking care of myself. For example, I stopped going to the gym so much, and it shows. I did really well last year, and then stuff happened, and part of it was medical stuff that I couldn't go to the gym. That would have been a bad idea. But then a lot of it was just, I don't feel like going. Like, my brain is not letting me go, and then I get depressed that I didn't go, and then it's this never-ending cycle of, well, I didn't go, and now I feel like crap, but I'm still not gonna go, and I'm gonna feel more like crap. And, you know, there's also this whole not showering thing, and keeping up in hygiene, and whatever, and it's gross, and it's just, and it also leads to very cluttered space. I have a very small space. There's so much stuff, so I've been working really hard. I made a minimalism series a long time ago, and it was going nicely, and then it failed, and then I've been spending the whole year, like, trying to declutter, and it works, and then more clutter comes in. But this time, I'm trying very hard to do that seriously, and it's been going well. I say as I look at this pile over here. At the very least, what I'm trying to do is once, like, laundry comes in, right, it's washed, put it away as soon as possible instead of letting it accumulate on the floor. So what is it that I'm trying to do it's not going to cure it, but make it a little bit more manageable, or at least make me realize that there are good things in my life, and stop worrying about all of these bad things, right? Well, the first thing is actually an object, and just so we know, this video is not sponsored, and I bought this thing with my own money. This is a thing called a happiness planner, and I saw this in a video of another, like, planner person that I watch, and basically this is supposed to make you realize, or at least help you remember, like, all the good things in your life. You could highlight your traits, like your bad traits, and I have a lot of bad traits that I highlighted, and, you know, highlight the good traits, and then there were things like what makes you happy and what makes you unhappy, qualities and habits you would like to improve on, stuff like that. It's kind of like your everyday planners that you've seen before. You have a weekly and whatnot, but then there's little notes here at the bottom that say good things about today and what you're grateful for and what you hope for tomorrow, right? And then there's a weekly, like, overview that you're supposed to fill out. I've been trying to, like, do this and focus on this a little bit. I don't know how well I'm going to keep up with this, or really if I'm going to do it again. I don't think I will, because most of this is just really, it's a regular planner, and then little bits of it are about happiness and whatnot, right? And I could have just added that into other planners as, like, a little section. I don't know, I thought I would give it a shot at the very least, see if it does anything. And other things that I started to do is I started to unfollow a lot of people on Instagram, on social media and whatnot, because I realized that in order for me to calm down, I needed to not see it. And then maybe eventually, once I started to try to do my best to reprogram my brain to not be so bitter, jealous, envious all the time, I could slowly start getting back into following these same people, because I just realized that it wasn't good for me. I don't know if that sounds ridiculous, but it's something that works for me, right? And if it works, it works, and then once things get a little bit better, bring it back. It's like when people tell you to get all the negative stuff out of your life. This isn't negative in the sense like they're bad, it's just I'm bad. Does that make any sense? And of course, I've been trying to take care of myself once and for all and do better. Eat better, not perfectly, but, you know, at least do a little bit better than what I have been. Try to get back into the gym. I think right now my issue is that I was going at 4 in the morning because that's when it opens and that's when there's no people. But then I realized that my sleep schedule is crap, and my sleep schedule is like 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., which really isn't that great. And I want to try to get back into the normal people schedule, where it's go to sleep around at the very latest midnight, 1 a.m., which is better than 6 a.m., and then, like, wake up 8, 9-ish or something like that, and just have a regular routine, which I think would help better with eating habits and all of that, and I get more sun. I actually liked making coffee and going outside and sitting for a little bit, and I couldn't get that with this whole, like, sleep during the day and be awake at night schedule, because it's not so peaceful outside after noon, really. And then, of course, like, taking the time to chill before reacting to something. I already mentioned that earlier, but that's a big one. At the very least, if I want to react to it, just write it down here or turn it into some sort of content for Patreon. But really, I think first and foremost, it's just keeping it to myself, even if it's in something like this or a regular piece of paper, and then shredding it later on. So yeah, that's me spilling my guts about things I never really want to spill my guts out about. I hate talking about my personal problems like this, but trying to hold oneself accountable. Anyway, if this is something that you can relate to, if you find things that are not so great qualities about yourself and you're trying to do better, feel free to share your stories down below in the comments. But before you go, if you haven't, consider pledging on Patreon. You get perks like Spotify playlists, written content that you won't see anywhere else, and if you go up high enough, you get pen pal letters. And I'll see you later. Bye.